Ruskin Bond was born in 1934 in Kasauli, Himachal Pradesh, and grew up in Jamnagar, Dehradun and Shimla. In the course of a writing career spanning more than 50 years, he has written over 100 short stories, essays, novels and more than 30 books for children. He received the Sahitya Akademi Award for English Writing in India in 1992 for Our Trees Still Grow in Dehra. Another of his stories, The Blue Umbrella, was made into a children's film in Hindi. For over 5 decades, Ruskin Bond has returned time and again in his writing to the small towns and villages of India, especially to the Garhwal Hills. His characters are not the sort who make the headlines, but are nonetheless remarkable for their quiet heroism, their lovable quirks of character, and their heartwarming ability to find happiness and contentment in everyday events. Master Ji is a delightful story of a teacher gifted with a rare quality, a sense of humor that makes him empathize with his students, brings a smile upon his lips. I was strolling along the platform, waiting for the arrival of the Amritsar Express, when I saw Mr. Kushal handcuffed to a policeman. I hadn't recognized him at first. He was a well-built gentleman with a lot of grey in his beard and a certain amusement in his manner. It was only when I came closer and we were almost face to face that I recognized my old Hindi teacher. Startled, I stopped and stared, and he stared back at me, a glimmer of recognition in his eyes. It was over 20 years since I'd last seen him, standing cheerfully before the classroom blackboard, and now here he was tethered to a policeman and looking as cheerful as ever.
Good evening, sir.
I stammered in my best public school manner. You must always respect your teacher, no matter what the circumstances. Mr. Kushal's face lit up with pleasure.
So, you remember me? It is nice to see you again, my boy.
Forgetting that his right hand was shackled to the policeman's left, I made as if to shake hands. Mr. Kushal thoughtfully took my right hand in his left and gave it a rough squeeze. A faint odor of cloves and cinnamon reached me, and I remembered how he had always smelled strongly of spices when standing beside my desk, watching me agonize over my Hindi-English translation. He had joined the school in 1948, not long after partition. Until then, there had been no Hindi teacher. We'd been taught Urdu and French. Then came a ruling that Hindi would be a compulsory subject, and at the age of 16, I found myself struggling with a new script. When Mr. Kushal joined the staff, on the recommendation of a local official, there was no one else in the school who knew Hindi or who could assess Mr. Kushal's abilities as a teacher. And now once again, he stood before me, only this time he was being guarded by a policeman. I was still recovering from the shock when the train drew in and everyone on the platform began making a rush for the compartment door. As the policeman elbowed his way through the crowd, I kept close behind him and his charge, and as a result, I managed to get into the same third-class compartment. I found a seat right opposite Mr. Kushal. He did not seem to be the least bit embarrassed by the handcuffs or by the stares of his fellow passengers. Rather, it was the policeman who looked unhappy and ill at ease. As the train got underway, I offered Mr. Kushal one of the parathas made for me by my landlady. He readily accepted it. I offered one to the constable as well, but though he looked at it with longing, he felt duty-bound to decline.
Why have they arrested you, sir?
I asked.
Is it very serious? A trivial matter,
said Mr. Kushal.
Nothing to worry about. I shall be free soon. But what did you do?
Mr. Kushal leant forward.
Nothing to be ashamed of.
he said in a secretive tone.
Even a great teacher like Socrates got into trouble with the law.
You mean one of your pupil made a complaint?
And why should one of my pupils make a complaint?
Mr. Kushal looked offended. They were the beneficiaries. It was for them. He noticed that I looked bewildered and decided to come straight to the point.
It was simply a question of false certificates.
Oh,
I said, feeling deflated.
your certificate, sir?
Of course not. Nothing wrong with my certificates. I had them printed in Lahore in 1946.
With age comes respectability.
I remarked.
In that case, whose?
Why, the matriculation certificates I have been providing all these years to the poor idiots who would never have got through on their own.
You mean you gave them your own certificates?
That's right. And if it hadn't been for so many printing mistakes, no one would have been any wiser. You can't find a good press these days. That's the trouble. It was a public service, my boy. I hope you appreciate that. It isn't fair to hold a boy back in life simply because he can't get through some silly exam, mind you. I don't give my certificates to any and everyone. They come to me only after they have failed 2 or 3 times.
And I suppose you charge something.
Only if they can pay. There's no fixed sum. Whatever they like to give me, I've never been greedy in these matters. And you know that I'm not unkind.
Which is true enough, I thought, looking out of the carriage window at the green fields of Moga and remembering the half-yearly Hindi exam where I had stared blankly at the question paper, knowing that I was totally incapable of answering any of it. Mr. Kushal had come, walking down the line of desks and stopped at mine, breathing cloves all over me.
Come on, boy. Why haven't you started?
Can't do it, sir.
I said.
It's too difficult.
Never mind.
He'd urged in a whisper.
Do something. Copy it out. Copy it out.
And so, to pass the time, I'd copied out the entire paper, word for word. And a fortnight later, when the results were out, I found I had passed.
But, sir,
I had stammered, approaching Mr. Kushal when I found him alone.
I never answered the paper. I couldn't translate the passage. All I did was copy it out.
That's why I gave you pass marks.
He'd answered calmly.
You have such a neat handwriting. If ever you do learn Hindi, my boy, you'll write a beautiful script.
And remembering that moment, I was now filled with compassion for my old teacher, and leaning across, I placed my hand on his knee and said,
Sir, if they convict you, I hope it won't be for too long. And when you come out, if you happen to be in Delhi or Firozpur, please look me up. You see, I'm still rather hopeless at Hindi, and perhaps you could give me tuition. I'd be glad to pay.
Mr. Kushal threw back his head and laughed, and the entire compartment shook with his laughter.
Teach you Hindi?
He cried.
My dear boy, what gave you the idea that I ever knew any Hindi?
But sir, if not Hindi, what were you teaching us all the time at school?
Punjabi.
He shouted, and everyone jumped in their seats.
Pure Punjabi. But how you were to know the difference?